Okay, welcome to this episode of the Smart Leader Sell podcast. I'm Jess, sales coach and leadership expert, and I'm really excited to be joined today by one of my founding tribe community members, the lovely Lorraine Pannetier. Please tell me I've said that right, because I probably haven't, have I?
No, you have absolutely right. Hi, Jess. Yeah. It's lovely to be here.
I'm so excited. And that was the bit I've been most worried about on the podcast, is saying people's names wrong. And I always forget to ask beforehand. And I've known you for 3 years now?
I think so, yeah, at least 3 years.
And I never ever say your surname. No. So I'm like, no, I know it. It's this, but I'm glad that we've got that right. So we've known each other for 3 years, and you joined my community relatively early on into my business, back when my branding was, I'm going to say horrific, and that's the nice term for it. But you've been a really, really key part, and someone who's been really on the journey with my business, being It Grow, and who's also been on the journey with their own business. When I first met you, you started out as the food coach. So you were there with ebooks, recipe books, and even convinced me to eat some healthy things. On the odd occasion, Lorraine is probably the only person that can get me to put a vegetable in my mouth. And then you moved over and you had this amazing kind of foray into copywriting. And that's where you are now, isn't it? Helping clients write, or helping write for clients that can't communicate themselves in the way that they want to convert more clients.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. So it has been such a journey, and the pivotal moment really was having created content for my nutrition and fitness business for 20 years. I realized that I wasn't really being paid for any of the writing I was doing. And, people used to love what I wrote. I wrote for magazine articles and online and everything. And I just thought, I'm missing a trick here. There's something I'm really good at. I have a skill, something I love doing, and I'm not being paid for it. So I had sort of this bit of a divine download, as some people call it, in sort of woo-woo terms. But basically just woke up one day with this idea and thought, let's try this copywriting thing, and got a few people that I tried things for straight away. They loved it. I started telling more and more people. They told people. And before I knew it, I was a proper copywriter. And I mainly work with heart-centered entrepreneurs. So people very much like myself that have got a small business, they're passionate about making a difference, and they just need a bit of help getting the vision they have in their heads onto paper. And for some people, it might be because English isn't their first language. It might be because they're dyslexic or something, or it might just simply be that they don't have time, or they're not that good at writing, and they just want someone else to help them.
I really like that. And I think it's massively underrated, because I remember when you're making the transition, and you were like, should I, shouldn't I? And I'm somebody who has been subject to a lot of Lorraine's posts over the years. So I've seen some amazing posts from you. And also you've created some amazing memes for me over the years. So if you have been involved in the free Facebook group, the link is in the show notes, you can see some of the memes that Lorraine has created for me over the years, including the spider, which was the big, hairy, scary goals. I really like that one. And also numerous memes about my cleavage, which I have been just kind of put all over the internet. So if you haven't seen any of those, you're unlucky. But you really did have this kind of way with words. And watching you make that transition was awesome, because it was literally one day you were doing the food coaching, and the next day you'd really found this niche that was really working for you. What do you think was the big difference? Because you had been in the food and nutrition fitness side for 20 years, and you were really, really good at it, but you always felt like you were striving for more. Whereas in this business, you've been pretty much fully booked since the start.
Yeah, I think what I feel now is, ever since I switched to copywriting, I feel like I've really connected with my audience in a different way. So it wasn't just like in the past, it was just inspiring them with nice food and recipes, and my local classes and things were popular. I did some nice one-to-one work with people, group classes and things. But doing the copywriting and connecting with these heart-centered entrepreneurs, there was suddenly just a better connection. And it was more like I understood what they needed, and I gave them what they needed. Whereas I think with the food coaching, because I had so much knowledge, I was first diagnosed with IBS at 13. So, I had all these years of nutritional knowledge on myself. And then when I trained, and I just think I used to overwhelm people, because I literally have so much there. And I just knew that I could help them with their health, but I wasn't breaking it down into the simple steps. Whereas with copywriting, it's like, okay, I need a new sales page. Right, here we go. Here's your new sales page. It's a much simpler, this is what my client needs and this is what I deliver. And obviously I had managed over 20 years to run a successful business, a small business. But I think, simplifying everything definitely is
and
the
I
key.
think, well, simplicity is always, it makes it a lot easier for the client. I know that we've had this chat over the last few years. God knows how many times we've talked about streamlining, we've talked about simplifying, and all this kind of thing. And really the job of delivery and the job of sales is about how can you make something really easy to understand for your client, or how can you make their life easier, or how can you make something more convenient for them? Because ultimately that's what people are paying for. People are paying for life to become quicker, easier, more convenient, or nicer. That's a really bland word, isn't it? Nice.
Yeah,
But it is that kind of thing. It's about, can you make my life easier, more convenient, happier, wealthier, more fun? And if you can, I'm happy to pay you for that, as long as you can explain it to me. I think the downside, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through this journey where they try and make everything, well, they don't try and make everything, but everything is immediately more complex, because they feel like in order to give value, they have to say lots and lots and lots and lots and give loads of information and tons of free content. And the reality is that actually that becomes just too overwhelming for the prospect, and they go somewhere else where life is infinitely easier and simpler.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing that was really interesting at the beginning is that when I first went into copywriting, I thought I was going into writing as a profession because I was good at writing. Mm-hmm. What I didn't realize is that I had this really intuitive gift inside that could actually pull out far more than what the client was telling me. So I could, a lot of coaches obviously have this kind of skill as well, to varying degrees. And so I call myself now an intuitive copywriter, because I do actually see the magic and the sparkle in people and pull that out as well, rather than just, I think a very traditional form of copywriting is you tend to fill in a questionnaire, all about your business and what you want, your goals and whatever. I don't do it that way. I do it entirely by video call, or face-to-face if it happens to be a local person, and just listen to them, but really listen, that kind of really tuning in. And so that's been the difference, has been really writing copy that then helps people shine from who they really are deep inside, not just what they think their business is about. So that was the biggest change at the beginning. The biggest light bulb moment for me was I wasn't just a writer, a copywriter. There was that intuitive element.
And that's really interesting about listening, because, one of the biggest sales skills you can have is this ability to actively listen to people, and not just listen and kind of retain the information, but also to use that information to then sell them what they actually want and need. And that's not something we always realize how to do. So what would you say in terms of actively listening? What would you say your top tip is around making sure that you're actually hearing what somebody's saying versus putting your own spin on it immediately? Because that's what copywriters are designed to do, right? You're designed to hear the thought coming out of somebody's head and be like, oh, I can say this. But actually that first thought isn't always the one you want to put on the page.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually a life skill as well, because I think most of my life I've been very logical and mathematical. And every time someone had a problem, I always wanted to find a solution for it, in personal life, family, friends, everything. And so I was somebody who, yes, I listened, but I didn't listen for very long before I jumped in with a solution. And I think what's really been interesting is it's probably part of just getting older and wiser anyway. But obviously in this job now, I do really I think coaches call it hold the space for people. I just let people speak, because sometimes they say the first couple of sentences or paragraphs, and then there's a little pause, and then there's some more to come out. And if you jump in on that first pause every time, you never get to the really meaty bits.
Yeah. And I think that's so interesting, because again, it's like when you're having a sales conversation, I would say to people, pause after you say the price, because you've got to let them process and come back with the price that, or the feeling that they have about the price. So often we'll go in and we'll go, oh, it's £1,000, but you can have it for 2 installments of this, or actually you could maybe just do like 6 installments of this, before the client has actually even thought about £1,000, is that going to be an amount that I can pay? And you've got to give them the space to come back and say, yes, I can pay you that in full, or actually that doesn't work for my budget. Do you have any payment options? And I think it is about this idea of actively listening and in some ways being confident enough in yourself to accept that silence is a big part of listening to people, and being okay with the fact that sometimes you are going to have a silence.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also, just as women anyway, just taking that time to just be quiet and look within is really important for our development anyway. The online space is so busy and overwhelming that if we're just constantly doing and never actually pausing to reflect, then it makes it much harder to grow and move forwards.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's funny because everyone knows that I'm not woo, and I'm just not. And it's been really nice because over the last 3 years, you've been on, I would say, a pretty big personal development journey, and you've gone through different phases. I remember you reading Rebecca Campbell's Rise Sister Rise, and you recommended it to everyone for months, including me. And I was like, I'm just not going to pick that up. And you were talking about these amazing, you were going on these amazing weekends with women, and I always joke about it, and I can joke with you because you know that I'm not being serious, but I'm like, you do the whole dancing underneath the moon with the unicorns and all that kind of thing. And I honestly, I think it's been great for you because it opened up this whole world of, I think, a different confidence in yourself, and I think I might not be woo, and I just really am not, but I know that when your brain really believes something and when it's seeing its own results, it's automatically programmed to see more of it. And actually within you, that journey it's been really interesting to watch because you have become a lot more confident in yourself. You've become a lot more confident in selling your services, and you've got this network of people who really get it and who are really, really supportive of that intuitive kind of spiritual piece. And I think that's really nice.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's been a lifelong journey, and it's really lovely to it's not actually about finding necessarily new things. It's about rediscovering what was in you all along. I think a lot of people will sort of use that expression. There was a lot of me that was very woo-woo in my teens and early 20s, and then for whatever reason, it gets a little bit suppressed. It might be just that you're busy, you're working, you have children, life just pushes it into the background, really. So it is really nice to have just reconnected to who I am inside. And I think when you are confident with who you are inside, it's nothing to do with like body shape or how you look or anything like that. It's that confidence with who you are on the inside, then that shines more on the outside. And I think that's obviously what you've picked up on and noticed in me. And I've noticed you change and grow over the years as well. And occasionally there's a teeny little bit of woo that comes through, and I do a little fist pump and a dance.
It's all down to you. That's where I've got it.
Going woo.
But it is that kind of thing. I mean, like you say, I think the last 3 years, it's really interesting because people often say to me, I'm looking for new audience. I'm looking for new people to come into my audience. I'm looking for new leads. And I kind of look at my audience, and we've retained this kind of core group of people who, like you, were dotties right back at the beginning. There's like you, there's Beth, there's a whole bunch of people. And so when people are talking to me about getting that new audience, I'm always saying, well, remember your existing people, like your existing customers, previous customers. What do you think it is that makes you, or that has made you stay as part of the tribe? Because really we've changed a lot since we first met. And I don't know, if we met now, I probably wouldn't be your cup of tea, and you probably wouldn't be my ideal client, because we are very different in that sort of sense. But what's made you stick with it?
Oh, interesting question. I haven't found anyone else that wants me to make memes for them like you do.
There's nobody else who'll joke about Patrick Dempsey.
Exactly, Ryan Gosling memes. No, in all seriousness, I think you and I bonded 3 or so years ago. We had local area of England in common. I think we got each other's sense of humour and just liked you as a person. I think you always had a lot of integrity. And I really liked that, and as we got to know each other on a slightly more personal rather than business level and talking about sort of childhood experiences and things, I really liked you as a person. So it didn't matter that At the beginning, there were things I really needed from you in terms of sales and what I bought from you, like Sell Out Success Program. That was the first thing I bought with you. And there might have been other things along the way that, I wasn't your ideal client and I didn't need what you were selling, but I wasn't going to leave your community because I liked the way that you acted. You're very consistent. You're a good role model. Actually, that probably is the essence of it. You're a good role model in terms of how to run a business and be consistent and always look after your audience and to show up even when things are going wrong personally or whatever. You're always there for people, and I really like that, and I like what you do.
I appreciate that. Lorraine Pannetier, making blubs since 2015.
and of course the community, actually that's the other thing, the community you've created, that yes, there's that small group of us that were there at the beginning of the Dotties, and it's lovely to have those connections. And then there are sort of the next couple of waves of Dotties that we've all become quite good friends, and some of us have worked with each other. We all know we've got each other's backs, but it's because of how you work and who you are that you've created that community. And not everyone has that natural skill and dedication to do that. So I think that's what makes yours more valuable than some others.
I think it's really interesting because community is this big thing. And this is, I think, the one big thing that you and I have in common, apart from our love of, attractive men. If you look like Ryan Gosling or Patrick Dempsey, send us your picture because we will gift that or meme it, and it's all over the internet. But it's that kind of thing, isn't it, where the community is huge. And I think it's really interesting for me because one of the biggest, I remember when you were moving from the food coaching to the copywriting, one of the biggest concerns you had was, what about my existing community? How will they feel? I can't just leave them behind. And I remember saying to you, they'll come along. Like, if they're the right people, they'll come along. If they're not, they'll still be doing the food stuff and they'll still be doing that. And you recently completely embodied it by reopening your food coaching Facebook group and getting people back in there and going back and selling them the ebooks and putting out some things. And it's not your main line of work or income, but just the very fact that your audience had stayed with you and you had this solid sense of community, I think is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, my Facebook group is Eat More Plants. And I think that was something that has always been constant for me, is about improving people's health by getting them to eat more fruit and vegetables. I might be plant-based now. Some people know that as vegan. I do whole food plant-based. But even when I used to eat meat, I always used to tell people to eat more fruit and veg, because by putting all those nutrients and things in, that's really important. So I've always had this group running in the background. Like you said, I didn't want to close it, but I wasn't selling in it. I wasn't sort of, promoting anything. I wasn't doing any classes or anything. But it was always there because it was such a lovely community. And I don't do a lot in there. I share pictures of my food. I give them recipes. And they've made some lovely connections within that. And they support each other. It's quite a lot of local people to me in there as well. And so it's a lovely group. So yes, I did run a challenge recently because there was just something in me that just needed to do something else just to promote that plant-based eating again and to show people how easy it can be. But interestingly, I reverted to my giving them too much information thing again. And it's brilliant because I'm just like, oh my God, I did it again. Right, okay. I've really got to take all the content I created and break it down into little smaller things for the future. So it's really interesting, but it brings together my love of writing, my love of design, like things on Canva, and my love of healthy food and helping, the world be a healthier place as well as a happier, better written place.
Yeah, Lorraine is the top person for spotting typos and grammar errors. So if you ever need an editor, she's also there.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. It is interesting. You've had this massive journey over the last 3 years. This is like the 100th episode. When I was recording it last week, I was sat there thinking about all the lessons that I've learned. And obviously there would probably be well over 100 had I actually sat down and bothered to write after my hand started cramping. What would be like your top 3 things that you've learned over the last 3 years? What would be the top things that you think, actually, if you're on the business journey, building a business or learning more in your business or wanting to progress, take it to the next level, what are the 3 things that you think, these are the bits that I would want to give you so that you can learn from my mistakes, wins, challenges?
But yeah, and it's very hard to limit it to 3, isn't it?
Tell me about it. I only got to do 10.
Yeah. This entrepreneur journey is a journey, absolutely. And there are many times many people think, oh, maybe I should just get a job. And then you're like, no, because then I'd have to buy a whole new wardrobe of clothes and I'd have to pay to park every day and, you know, all the rest of it. And
I love that those are your main problems, by the way. I'd have to pay to park every day and I'd have to get new clothes.
It's like 150 quid just to park your car to go to an office. It's just, why? Anyway, top 3 things I've learned. I think the financial side of things has been a big part of my journey, because I've never been someone that's made massive amount of money, and I didn't come out of a high-flying corporate job. So I've never earned the big 100k a year kind of salary. And so maybe my mindset was slightly different than someone who's come out of corporate and is used to earning 60, 80, 100,000 and being able to afford lots of luxuries, and they want to recreate that very quickly. So I think there's a different mindset between entrepreneurs that start that way and entrepreneurs maybe like myself that started in a face-to-face, hour by hour kind of business. You know, you pay for an hour of personal training or an hour of massage or whatever. I think it's very different trying to scale a business when you're used to just working on an hourly rate, rather than somebody who's worked in corporate and maybe used to putting together packages and putting on events. And so I think definitely the financial side of things, if you are coming out of a job, make sure you've got cash on the side as like a safety blanket, because when you've got nothing, it makes everything much more difficult, because you then approach trying to get clients from a place of desperation, because you need that £500 to be able to pay your rent or whatever. And although it might not be written in so many words, that energy comes across. And I think there were times for me in my nutrition business where things were so bad that I was coming across in that energy. Whereas now, you know, again, I'm still not making mega bucks, but it's really nice to just be able to put out those offers and connect with people and make those connections, build relationships, and just attract the right people in, because it's not coming from that same energy. So I'd say always don't dig your head in the sand either. Open your mail. Be on top of everything, you know, make sure you know what's coming in and going out. So I definitely think that the financial side, and if you're not good at that kind of thing, you know, get someone to help you to do that. So I think definitely the financial side would be one top tip. And then I think a lot of new businesses get very overwhelmed with social media and think, and I was guilty of this too, you think you have to be on every platform every day, multiple times a day. And it just, all you end up doing is spending all day doing social media posts and replying to other people. And I think so many of my amazing posts ended up being on other people's threads that are now, you know, they're somewhere in the Facebook universe. And I don't have access to that content because, you know, I'm not going to go and find it. So
it's about using it strategically, I think, isn't it? Social media. And it's a really interesting one because, like I say, I think people get really overwhelmed because they think they have to be on every single platform and they have to post entirely original content on every single platform. And it's funny because in the 100th episode, I was literally talking about this. I think it can be really, social media can be one of the toughest parts of starting a business or maintaining it, because there's always this kind of preconceived expectation around, oh, well, so-and-so's on that platform, so now I have to go and be on that platform, or I have to create more original content and I'm not good at repurposing, or even the whole comparisonitis thing around, oh, well, you know, so-and-so's branding looks great, mine looks crap, ergo nobody's going to buy from me. And none of those things are true. But actually, you know, taking time off of social media regularly, I think is a really good idea.
Absolutely, yeah. So I definitely say, so choose one or two platforms that you really love and really go with them. So for me, I do love Instagram. Although I love writing, I love Instagram. It makes me so happy to see beautiful accounts and to make my account look better. So I'd say definitely, yeah, choose the couple that you really enjoy using, because that's where you're going to shine your brightest anyway and attract the right people. So they're sort of the two tips. So the money, the social media channels, and then the third tip probably would be to take that time out. It's okay to take time out, to not turn your computer on and to sit and read a book, sit and write, go and do something fun, and just reflect on where you are. And someone once said something brilliant, and I'm not sure if it was you, I can't remember who said it. I quote this all the time, and I'm like, I really don't know who said it, and I wish I could remember, is if you just stopped your business right now and started again tomorrow, how would it look? How would it feel? What would you do? And it's brilliant because there's been so many times when I've been like, do you know what? I've been trying to sell this course, this whatever. I don't actually like it. I don't want to do a whatever. And then actually, I'd rather do this.
And it's really good. And I think sometimes when we get to like pivotal points, and I do this, I'm a kind of calendar person. So every year in the dotties and every month in the dotties or every quarter in the dotties, you'll always see me sending out an email. It's like, right, okay, what do you want to do next quarter? And for me, it's like having that blank sheet of paper and going, yeah, what's worked, what hasn't, what do I want to do next? And how do I want to feel about that? And I think it is really interesting because, this came up in one of the challenges that I ran recently, not the Sales in for Summer one, but the previous, around this expectation of joy. Like, your business should be something that you enjoy, so you should be able to take time out and go back to it and think, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, I'm really excited about doing this. And if you start having that heavy feeling around, oh well, I'm working with clients I don't really like, or I'm doing tasks that I'm not really enjoying, or actually my audience, I'm just really disengaged from them, then it is time to take that reflection period and think about, okay, well, how could this be different? And is this to do with how I'm showing up, or is this to do with creating a business that actually doesn't fit me anymore? And that I need to make some major or minor changes to really fit who I am and what I want to be and how I want to show up.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly.
I love it. I'm so excited. It's been so good to have you on the podcast. Lorraine said it.
Thank you.
She's like, I'm like the last person to be picked for the sports team. I want to be on the podcast. I was just like, you're the last person to be picked. There's like thousands of people. But it's true. You are the person who I would say has probably been in my community the longest. There's you, there's Beth, there's Helen, and a bunch of others. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And it's really nice that, you've been one of the people that I've been able to go out and have multiple glasses of Prosecco with, as well as see your business, change, grow. And, at the moment, it's in a really, really good place. And I'm just really, really proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It means a lot.
No, you're welcome. So where can all of the heart-centered entrepreneurs who are looking for your magical or wizardry with words find you?
They can come and find me on my website, which is the Soulful Word, SOUL, soulfulword.com. I'm also on Facebook. I'm the only Lorraine Pannetier on Facebook. So pop that in and you'll find either my Eat More Plants group or my Soulful Word Facebook group.
Perfect. Awesome. So there you go. If you are somebody who is looking for a magical copywriter who is all about the unicorns, the sparkles, the heart-centered, the soulful, the everything that is contained in the woo, then please make sure you go and check out Lorraine. She is one of my favorite people on the planet and will do your business the world of good. If you've enjoyed this episode, you've enjoyed our conversation today, please make sure that you head over to iTunes and leave us a review. I know it's really irritating. I know that iTunes doesn't make it easy, but we are in the 100th episode week, so it would be awesome if you could do that and let us know how you feel about the last 100 episodes. And we'll see you in the next show.